is that the Earth has warmed up by just over a degree during the past 100 years. I mean, that's pretty irrefutable. In terms of humans causing all of that warming, I think that's still up for debate. Because there are other major cycles that are going on, sunspot cycles. There are actually cycles, where the Earth is a little bit closer to the sun, a little bit farther away from the sun during different seasons, and that can have a bigger impact than greenhouse gases. In 22,000 years, summer and winter are going to occur at opposite times of the year because the orbit is it goes through precession. So winter is actually going to be in July in the northern hemisphere in 22,000 years. Just to give you an idea of the astronomical things that are going on.
In case anybody's around.
No, well, I know nobody's going to be around, but just to give you an idea of what we're talking about.
I'm going to be in Florida.
No, Mr. Evans, you got to go to South America.
There are huge cycles that go on at a much bigger level than humans.
Well, I think what Jeff is saying, and how does that affect our lives and how does it affect your daily life, is that the planet, since there are a lot of studies out there that show that there's no empirical data that shows that the planet is warming since 1998. There's a study that came out last week that the ozone hole had a lot to do with that, and CFCs, there's carbon in the atmosphere, there's the carbon molecule 13, carbon molecule 14, and CFCs. The great reduction in the CFCs, that's the stuff that was in your car, the Freon. Since that has been taken away, the ozone holes have gotten smaller, and some scientists believe that is another reason why the planet hasn't warmed since 1998. So the planet really hasn't warmed this century. But that's not to say that we shouldn't be good stewards of the planet. So when you hear the words climate change, the climate is always changing. We're always going to be involved in climate change. We're involved in it now. I mean, look at 80 inches of snow in Buffalo, New York, and then it's going to be 60 degrees on Monday. So we have a lot of climate change going on around the planet, and that's a good thing. That's a sign of a very stable planet, a very healthy planet. Right now, we have 300 active volcanoes on the planet. So, and that's below the ocean and above the ocean.
And volcanoes are another example of something that can really affect the climate very, very quickly.
Very big.
Much more quickly than humans.
New York City had I think, was it 1842? The winter that never was.
Erupted.
The winter that never was in New York. We had snow in June and July in New York City in the 1840 from a volcano, So.
And don't let anybody tell you that the poles are shrinking anymore. The sea ice is actually increasing. The percentage of sea ice across the globe is actually increasing now.
Yeah.
What we have to discern is, yes, we are seeing these extreme weather events, and maybe in higher frequency. And what we have to eventually, hopefully, find out is there is obviously a battle going on, an oceanic, atmospheric battle, and is this just a battle to bring back a little bit more weather stability and less extreme? Yes, there are some arguments to that in 2030 we actually look into more of a global cooling pattern. So I think number one, climate change is much better than saying global warming, and number two, hopefully we find out that this is just a natural cycle here.
Look, we have to be aware that there's always going to be this climate change. I testified before the City Council of New York twice. I was invited to talk about hurricanes hitting our city. And the thing about climate change is, when you hear the words, we're going to battle climate change, we really can't battle climate change. What we can do is, we can work with climate change. And the things that the state has undergone and done are some pretty good moves. One is, gas stations now have to have a generator, so you can get gas in when we have a hurricane. They were all closed, they couldn't open. The city learned that you can't put plywood over the subway. You can't stop the ocean. No matter how hard you try, you're not going to be able to stop the ocean. So they've learned that some other things they have to do. So you have to mediate these things in the short term that are going to be better for the people.